Hi, welcome back. You're watching MF Corner. Joining in now is Hemant Rustagi, CEO at Wiseinvest, to talk about the opportunity in the short-term debt fund space. What exactly investors can hope for from this segment, and which are the kind of funds that fall into this 1 month to 12-month kind of period, and how to distinguish which is the kind of fund that you need. So Hemant, thanks very much for joining in. I want to begin by asking you exactly what is the opportunity here, and within the short-term debt fund space there are quite a few funds. So how do we make the distinction?
Well, Sumera, as far as the debt funds are concerned, there are actually 16 categories of debt funds. And the good thing about that is, despite the fact that there are a number of funds to choose from, that most of the category very clearly defined as to what is going to be the maturity duration of the portfolio of that particular fund. So basically what an investor needs to do is to look at his own time horizon and then make sure that it matches with the maturity duration of the fund. But that's put it very simply, how do you go about selecting, barring certain categories where we're talking about, let's say, corporate bond or credit risk, where the quality of the portfolio comes into play. But here, it's normally a diversified portfolio, and then maturity duration is the key. Well, as far as the opportunity is concerned, clearly, we are in a phase where the interest rates are rising. RBI has already hiked the repo rate 190 basis point, and I think considering the fact that the RBI has projected inflation at 6.7, there are going to be a few more rate hikes from there. So I think there is going to be an opportunity, and that's where I think every debt fund investor need to understand that there is a cycle here. So your fund selection and the timing based on your risk profile and, of course, the time horizon that you have becomes a key factor. So there are, like I said, there are 16 categories of debt fund. There are a number of options available for investors to invest. Especially if you're talking about someone who's looking to invest for a shorter duration. Well, I think there are a number of funds where we talk about the parking of funds. You have overnight funds, you have liquid funds, then you have ultra short-term fund. So these are the funds where if your time horizon is very short. So for example, if you talk about ultra short-term or a liquid fund, maybe you're looking to invest money for a couple of months, you can invest in those. But if your time horizon is a little longer, let's say if you're looking at 1 year time horizon, there are a number of options, especially in the current scenario, because the interest rates are rising.
Okay. So from a retail point of view, which funds in this duration of up to a year would make sense? And for what, what is the purpose that they would be serving?
So, if let's talk about someone who is looking to, let's say, invest money in this current scenario, we are not talking about the long term, we're talking about, let's say, from 6 months to 12 months. I think the first and foremost, my recommendation would be that investors can look at floating rate bond funds. Now, these are funds where, they invest in bonds where the interest rates are linked to external benchmark. Now, that external benchmark can be a repo rate, can be treasury bills, can be MIBOR. So what typically happens here is the coupons are reset whenever there is a change in the benchmark rate. So in a rising interest rate scenario, okay, for example, if the benchmark is repo rate and if there is a hike in the repo rate, the coupon also will be set higher. So what typically happens is that while you're investing in the fund and the interest rates are rising, you benefit because you're also getting interest at a higher rate. So I think this is very, very important, especially in a scenario that we are in and where we are looking at, rising interest rate scenario. So ideally, I would say that anyone who is, wanting that the debt fund investors, especially the short term, are not impacted by the inverse relationship that we see between the bond prices and the interest rate, I think should be ideally looking at these funds, and also at the same time want to benefit from the interest rates hike. So the first and foremost, I would say floating rate bond. The second is low duration fund. So if you're an investor who do not want much volatility, now these funds typically invest in a diversified portfolio of debt securities and money market securities. Okay, and the maturity duration is generally 6 months to 12 months. What the fund manager does is he creates a diversified portfolio and tries to generate return commensurate to the lower risk level of interest rates here. So if you are a conservative investor, do not want any volatility, you can look at low duration funds.
Okay. What about if somebody, I realize that in this bucket of up to a year, there is very minimal credit risk. But say, what about something like a corporate bond fund? Would that serve an investor's purpose too, for considering that we're talking about up to 12 months?
I think that can definitely be a good category. So the best thing about the corporate bond fund category is that as per SEBI definition, at least 80% of the investment has to be in the highest rated paper. So as far as the quality is concerned, I think you're very sure that you're investing in funds which the portfolio is of high quality. Now there are a number of funds in this category where the maturity duration is around 12 months to 18 months. And I think the current, if I look at the YTM, is coming around 6%. So that is one basket that someone who wants that the portfolio that he is or she investing in should be of high quality and is expecting a reasonably healthy return, and with accepting certain amount of volatility in that, I think this can be a great option. In fact, I would say that there is one more option, which is basically the target maturity funds. Now these are akin to fixed maturity funds. The fixed maturity funds plans are basically a close-ended fund where the fund manager will mobilize money and builds a portfolio of securities where the maturity matches with the duration of the fund. But these funds are actually passively managed open-ended funds and which track fixed income indices. The only thing is that there are too many options here, especially if you're looking at 1 year, but there are a couple of options which are available. And the best thing here is that one, the portfolio quality is known. The portfolio quality is good because usually these indices will have government securities and a high quality of PSC bonds as the constituent, and the fund would be holding those in the portfolio. So you're assured of the portfolio quality, and if you hold it till maturity, because the maturity is predetermined. So if you hold it till maturity, then what happens is that you're reasonably assured of getting a yield, the return which is equal to the yield which was there at the time of investment. The key factor is that you need to hold it till maturity. But like I said, unfortunately, there are too many options in this space. But if one really looks around, there will be at least a couple of funds where one can consider investing, especially if the time horizon is 1 year.
Hemant, I know you've shortlisted 4 funds which make the most sense. But wouldn't liquid or overnight funds serve any purpose at all to a retail audience, or is that just more corporate focused?
No, they would be. They would be. I mean, honestly speaking, it all depends on within 1 year also what is your time horizon. If you're looking at, let's say, a couple of months, as I said in the beginning, those options are there. But if you have time on hand. Now, for example, let's talk about an investor who wants to build a portfolio of debt and wants to kind of allocate money for a longer period. Maybe ideally what will be the best thing to do is invest for a shorter period and wait for a situation where RBI is almost done with the rate hikes. But that's the time you lock in money at a very high yield. So you can actually utilize this time by investing in this 4 category of fund that I mentioned.
Okay. Hemant, thank you very much for joining in to explain all of this. So that's all you perhaps needed to know about all the options which are available in the short-term debt space. With that, we'll wind up on the show for today, but do remember to keep sending us your queries. We'll take them up with our experts through the week. For now, thanks very much for watching. Closing Bell is up next.